1 in 5 young people are affected by mental illness. That's about 20% of our population. Having a mental illness is not a choice or moral failing. Today, we will be discussing mental health and mental illness, specifically in teens and young adults. There are many things that could cause a mental illness as a result of complex interactions between an individual's genes and their environment. The amount of aspects involved in a person's mental health are numerous. As a result, it is important to monitor mental health, especially during teenage and young adult years.
It's really important to monitor mental health during teenage and adolescent years, particularly because during this time your brain is actually undergoing a lot of different changes. And so that means that you're going to respond differently to stress. Sometimes you're a little more emotional about certain things, and that's not necessarily your fault. It's just that's what's happening within your brain and different things that are taking place that are causing that. And so during this time, it's really important to kind of keep track of what's happening, what's normal for you and what's not, so that when certain issues do arise, you recognize that it's different from your day-to-day mental health. So there are a lot of different things that can trigger mental health crises for different people. One thing to remember is that something that is triggering a crisis for one person may not be something that triggers a crisis for someone else. But some of those things that could be triggers are changes within the family. So things like divorce or just changes, moving, and things like that that are stressful or inducing a lot more stress than usual can be triggers. Other things like abuse, neglect. If you're, during adolescent years, you also engage in relationships and things like that. And so sexual or emotional, mental abuse by a partner can also be a big trigger for different mental health conditions. But like I said, a lot of different stressors can be a trigger for one person and not necessarily a trigger for another person. So it's really important to just kind of understand where you are and what are triggering for your own mental health status.
There are a couple key things you can look out for. Be sure to self-analyze your behavioral changes in attention, motivation, and risk-taking. There are healthy levels of these, but experiencing changes after a potentially triggering event or unusual circumstances can hint at signs of mental illness. If you're unsure, try and keep track of how many times people ask you about how you are in those areas. It might be a sign something's a little off.
Mental health, first and foremost, is something that affects everyone, right? Just like our physical health, sometimes we have good days and sometimes we have bad days. Sometimes we're feeling down and other times we're very happy. When you start to see certain things like feeling down or overwhelmed for more than 2 weeks at a time, for example, if you're starting to feel really nervous for a prolonged time, if you are engaging in a lot of risk-taking or drugs and alcohol, if you notice a difference or changes in your sleep patterns or weight gain and weight loss, those are all kind of things to look out for. But pretty much anything that is starting to be an impairment for you in your day-to-day life, those are things that might be indicative of a mental health issue and would be beneficial to reach out to someone that you trust or even teachers or counselors at school. You should always kind of keep track of what's happening. If you notice a lot of mood changes or even changes in personality, as well as changes in your sleep, changes in your weight that are not something that you actively are working towards. If you're having thoughts of hurting yourself or hurting other people, that's definitely a time to seek help. Other times, if you are not eating or throwing up or taking laxatives to lose weight, that's also a time to get help. Again, like I mentioned earlier, what is you're always gonna have moments where you're feeling sad or feeling anxious or you're feeling down at different times in your life. But when you see that these things are starting to impair your schoolwork, for example, if you're having trouble concentrating in school because of these issues, if you're having trouble developing or maintaining your relationships with friends or even family members because of these issues, if you are having trouble concentrating because of these issues or just have extreme difficulties with concentration, if you find yourself engaging in risky behavior or looking to drugs or alcohol, everyday life, then you can start to think about, it's really important at that point to seek help. And there is, quite a bit of a stigma around mental health. I think especially within adolescent years, the idea of having mental health issues is like you're crazy or, whatever. But everyone has mental health issues at one point or another, and it's really just about coping and reaching out to people that you trust and love. And you'll find that, when you do reach out to those people, it's often a space of comfort, and people are always willing to help. And if you don't have people that you feel safe around within your own household, then you can reach out to teachers that you feel safe around, or counselors. There are also hotline and warm line numbers for issues and crises that come up. So it can be really harmful to suppress mental health issues rather than seeking help, because first and foremost, it can actually make it worse, right? So the severity and the type of mental health can increase drastically and be a lot more impairing in your life. Another thing is our mental health is very much connected to our physical health. So when you leave it under or untreated, you end up being at risk for other physical health issues. And mental health issues are related and associated empirically with other physical health issues like heart disease, cancer, and diabetes, and all of those things. So the longer you go untreated and not diagnosed and things like that, it can actually have pretty severe impacts in both your physical health, your relationships, your day-to-day, how you are able to go through school, your relationships, and all of those things. So it's really important to kind of understand the triggers, the signs of mental health issues, and get help as early as possible so that you can prevent more severe issues and other chronic illnesses as well.
As you can see, mental health is a huge field with a variety of details. I'd like to thank VCU Psychology Department for assisting me in making this video possible. Stick around for the rest of the video in regards to why Salamowit chose to pursue a career in psychology and mental health.
What kind of encouraged me to pursue a field in psychology and mental health more broadly is just, growing up, I recognized that everyone faces a difficult time at one point or another in their lives. And so it's something that we all deal with, and it's kind of a way for me to connect with anyone that I come across. And I also noticed that a lot of times these issues, because of the stigma or how little we know about mental health, just in general, like populations, we tend to go through these things in isolation, and we tend to feel very lonely and things like that. And so I guess because of that desire to help people and to let people know that they're not alone, it's kind of what made me really passionate in this area, and particularly more vulnerable populations as well. So low-income individuals, incarcerated individuals, everyone is everyone has mental health issues at one point or another, and the more marginalized a community is, the higher risk they are for these issues. And so I'm really passionate about one, educating people on what mental health is and why they should seek treatment, and then making people feel like they are not alone.